the new Democrats who would follow Obama's example could also embrace this new pro-Islamic immigration to the extent that it would affect the safety of Jews and Christians.
The most vocal of the Democrats are two anti-Semitic, anti-Zionist members of Congress. You know who they are. They should not be representing the Democratic Party. And yet, where are the Democratic leaders why are they all silent the whole time these two people speak out? They basically are mouthpieces for the Muslim Brotherhood. Why doesn't anybody make that point? Why do they represent the Democratic Party? It's an absolute disgrace. And we abroad cannot believe what we are seeing.
With this big election, and you're talking about local elections with these Congress people from particular districts in Michigan and in Minnesota, does this issue extend beyond just the White House election as to Democrats for Congress and the Senate?
Look, I cannot speak to the United States electorate and tell them what to do. I'm British, but I would say, based on my experience in London and in Britain, I think the time has come. Yes, it could happen that if you elect these sort of councillors, you will be having trouble in the future. I would only say, look at what has happened in Great Britain. Look at what was going to happen. Corbyn was a real threat to democracy, to the Jewish people and to Israel. Please don't let it happen here.
Is there a parallel, you think, with Germany bringing in a national socialist movement?
I don't think we cannot be I don't believe that's going to happen. I don't think there is a parallel at all. I think there are many who are quiet now, anti-Semitic on the right, who are quieter than they used to be, but there still exists anti-Semitism both in Britain and the United States. But I don't think you can parallel that with what has happened in Germany. I don't think that will happen. I think we are now past that. But what we have to do is to eradicate this anti-Semitic, anti-Zionism belief that is infecting our colleges and universities in Britain and also in the United States. It is very serious.
The rise in European anti-Semitism has largely increased proportionate to the Muslim influx. You mentioned it on the right. Which is a greater concern to you?
Without doubt, the greatest concern is the rise of the Muslim anti-Semitism. We've seen what's happened in France, and it is definitely on the rise. The right, we've always known there's been an alt-right, a right of anti-Semitism, but that can be contained. Except for the terrible things that happened in Pittsburgh and other places, normally it's the Muslims that have caused all the damage. Those, and when I speak of Muslims, a very, very small minority of Muslims. Let's tar the whole of Islam with that brush.
Yes. But how about the leftists who side with the Islamists, that small but fervent, vigilant group? The leftists in Europe, of which particularly in England, is very strong, isn't it?
It is very strong. We actually laugh at the naivety of these so-called liberal leftists who side with Muslims, who ban everything that is dear to us, all the rights of man, who are against gays, who would throw gays down from the tops of buildings, who don't allow democracy in all their countries, and yet liberals side with them. How can they do that? It just defies belief that they support a Muslim idea which is anti-democratic and against the rights of man.
How is Boris Johnson doing for the British public, the UK public?
Well, it's early to say, but he has a great strength in that he is unconventional. In that sense, he is very much like Donald Trump, and he is trying to make good on his promises, exactly what Trump has tried to do here. And that's why the British people believe him in, and that's why they gave him the majority, even though his own personal life wasn't something that we should all be proud about. Nevertheless, he is doing a great job in the opinion of many, both conservative and non-conservative electorate.